Yo, yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 13 of the Broken Tables podcast. Tonight, we are going to be doing a weekly review of what's going down in the world of wrestling. Get to the correct screen here so we can get Rome included in on this one here. How you doing tonight, Rome?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, man. Had a freaking awesome week of wrestling. Fantastic day today, a day off. You know what I mean? We got lots of good news from Big E today, you know what I'm saying? But we'll get into that later.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah, let's get into it. We're going to go over what went down this week. So, what do you got for us first?
All right, so first on the news docket, as you said, we had an update on Big E. Obviously, last night on SmackDown, he had a serious injury concern, a bad suplex where he landed on his head. He was stretchered out. It was a real scary scene. I caught it this morning and was very concerned for him. Listen, we both have our issues with WWE, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have issues with the wrestlers over there. Big E is a super talented guy, always really entertaining. Just wishing him well. Hopefully he's on the up and up, which luckily we got some good news today, that it seems like he will not require any type of surgery or really have any serious long-term damage, which for the kind of injury it is was a real great thing to hear.
I mean, if there's I don't like to say it, but if there's a perfect way to break your neck, he found it, you know. I mean, no damage other than just 2 cracked vertebrae, no nerve damage, no ligament damage. I mean, it's the best you could have hoped for with a broken neck, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It was a really nasty looking bump. I caught the video again this morning, and it's you hate to see it. That's how pro wrestling works, man. That's how it goes. And
I was hoping to get your opinion on this. I didn't want to post anything on Twitter just because it's a very sensitive subject, but the amount of GIFs or GIFs that I saw of people making that him falling on his head, that really actually bothered me. I actually really wanted to start messaging people dude, take this shit down. You know what I mean?
What do you mean, in a funny way or just a showing?
No, they were just people were just posting it with no words. You know what I mean? It was just on someone's Twitter feed, and it was just a GIF of it, no words to it, just a repeat of it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, I don't want to see this over and over and over on repeat. I don't know. It just bothered me to see so many different people were actually posting that.
I think context is everything. I mean, if there's people making light of it, I could see it bothering you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to remember that not everyone spends their whole day going through their social media feeds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world if people are sharing it. I mean, it's a beloved wrestler who got seriously hurt. So, I mean, I don't think that's the biggest deal. I will say this, though, and it's an extreme concern that I have moving forward with WWE, especially with the direction they're going. So, I don't know if you saw this, but last night, Taz, shout out to Taz, love Taz, was tweeting about this, and he said, and I quote, "I've said it many times over the years. Suplexing is all about proper technique and training, not strength. Prayers to Big E." And I think this is 100% great point. I mean, and this is Taz. This is the guy that went down as the human suplex machine. That's what he was known as.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to listen to the expertise of anyone about suplexes, it's going to be Taz.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If I was going to listen to anybody, it'd be him.
Yeah, with Kurt Angle as a close second. But it's I have a real concern for the future of the Fed, or more so the talent in the Fed. So they've made it clear that they do not want professional wrestlers in their company. They want to go to the NFL Combine and scout guys. They want to go to these, pro athletes, these college athletes, and they want to bring them in. Do you think that's dangerous? Do you think that the lack of focus on the reality, which no matter what they say, sports entertainment or not, they are operating in the reality of professional wrestling. Do you think that it could be detrimental to the health of their superstars in the future, like to not have that balance?
Yes, I kind of actually do, because let's say they start dipping into the pool of college football, right? That's a violent sport where you don't have any sort of like limiters against you other than a few rules. You know what I mean? You can hit someone full force as long as you're doing it within the rules. And without, years of training in a ring, man, I just don't know. But then we got enigmas like this kid, Nick Wayne. He's 16 years old in a ring having great matches, and people are trusting him. So I don't know. Maybe it is possible, but I do see what you're saying. Like, it is dangerous. Like, they definitely need to make sure certain techniques are perfected with people before they even attempt them. You know what I mean? On live television.
Yeah, I mean, because it's scripted, sure, but it's not fake. Like, these guys are doing these things to their bodies, and this
Yeah.
is coming from a place of concern, not a place of hating on WWE. That they need to recognize that, like, these people need to be trained how to be professional wrestlers. This can't be, oh well, he's a great athlete, he'll figure it out, or like
No, yeah,
it's a real concern. And like,
I
I feel
agree.
like they're going way too far one direction, and maybe right now it's not something that's going to be an issue, but who knows, 10 20 like 10 15 years from now, when Madcap Moss is training rookies how to suplex, like, I, I don't know. And again,
Oof.
it's not a knock against the guy, because mistakes happen, and mistakes aren't exclusive to WWE in terms of in the ring botches. Like, it happens everywhere, including AEW. And but I don't know. I mean, Taz's words kind of had me really thinking about it, and you
Yeah,
know,
that's wild.
health of the wrestlers, no matter what company they're in, should be top priority. So I hope that doesn't become an issue in the future, and I hope that my concerns are not valid.
I didn't even think about that, man. Like, they have in the future, a lot of these people are just going to be straight up college athletes. They're not going to be people who have dreamed to be wrestlers, and
Right. Like, I
all,
mean, we're wrestling fans, and we know, like, obviously I've never gotten into the ring or been been physical in the ring or anything like that, but I still understand kind of how it works, because I watch it, and I respect the material and understand how the industry works, where so you ducking your head, protecting yourself, stuff like that. College athlete who maybe watched WrestleMania one year and knows it's a way to make money, they might not put two and two together on that. Like, I don't know, it's very concerning, and and we can't, at the end of the day, the Fed's going to do whatever the Fed wants to do, in spite of themselves, and
yeah.
I couldn't care less about that company, but I don't want to see people get hurt. I'm
No,
not
and
I'm not down
the
with
the
that.
more we're talking about it, the more I'm seeing what you're talking about, man. Like, I'm not sure how big of a like regular sports fan you are, but I'm like a 4 for 4 guy. Like, all four sports I follow.
Yeah,
And each sport kind of has what we would call its own unwritten rules.
exactly.
So for somebody to just be a college athlete and to just join into this one year, that's where I do fear a lot of these unwritten rules are to do with safety. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a concern. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, like, yeah, like, I would hate to see a baseball player
Yeah.
turn up in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like,
Or an
not good.
NFL player, like a legit NFL player. Like, Brock Lesnar tried to go to the NFL after he was a wrestler. You know what I mean? Imagine
Yeah.
someone doing it before, where he just thinks he can shoulder tackle somebody into oblivion after he sees Keith Lee do it. But we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, best wishes to Big E. Hopefully, he
Yes.
quick,
God.
speedy recovery. Great dude. Heard nothing but great things about this guy.
Yeah. One
So,
one more thing on this. I heard it's very similar to what happened to Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle came back in, what was it, less than 3 months, I believe.
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and they're saying that it's between 3 and 6 months for this. Like that, I would let him stay longer. I would actually like debut him back at next year's WrestleMania just to make sure he's legit.
I mean, I don't think they have the star power where they're going to want to keep him off the shelf that long.
Yep, they're gonna
Because at that point,
figure
you're
out.
talking a year. I don't know. I could see him being out 6 months. I don't know if they're going to let him be out for a year.
Yeah, watch them call Braun Strowman back in.
Right. Control that narrative. Um, all right. So next up, Matt Cardona is the
Yes.
NWA Heavyweight Champion right now. You were able to catch the title match of that aired on Friday, even though it happened previously. What did you
Yeah,
think of that match?
that match was freaking fantastic. I got dude, Cardona's the best, one of the best heels in wrestling right now, man. I was about to say the best, but MJF's got him beat by a long shot. But this match, man, there was a lot of blood. Trevor Murdoch, I don't know if you noticed in NWA, they don't have pads on the outside of the ring. It's just straight concrete. And
Yeah, it's a
Trevor
very old
Murdoch's
school retro
forehead
look.
just bow, face first, busted him open so bad. He was bleeding everywhere. I don't know if that was intended or not, because he got thrown over the ropes and then just splat face first, you know. I don't think anybody expected Cardona to win that match. I'm almost wondering if because of how Trevor hit his head, they gave him that belt, because the audience didn't expect it. He looked like he didn't expect it. You know what I mean? Like when it finished, he had a shocked look on his face. But celebration was awesome. He had his wife Chelsea Green in there, some giant dude I never seen before.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a very good match. If anybody is interested, I would say go see it. It's free on the NWA channel.
I know I need to go watch it. The end of this week was taking up a lot of my time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, I think Matt Cardona absolutely deserves to win this title. I think if you look at wrestlers who are not in AEW or the Fed, who are wrestling in North America, Matt Cardona is the number one. He's the number one wrestler in North America outside of the Fed and AEW. And it's not even close. This guy is. You want to talk about people leaving WWE and like having a career renaissance? Like this dude didn't even need AEW. He's out there, you know, like you said, great heel, like just killing it. Like I'm so happy for this guy because this is one of those guys that like, you know, in the Fed, when I was a WWE fan, Zack Ryder was like one of my guys. I had like 3 or 4 guys, and I'll go more in depth with this whenever we choose to do this podcast that we keep telling stories about why I feel the way I do about that company. But like there was a few years there where I had like a core group of guys who they weren't the top guys, but I was so into these guys that like I just wanted to see them do well. And Zack Ryder was one of those guys.
Yeah, me
You know,
too.
the Broski gimmick like was a complete like it wasn't even a type of gimmick that would resonate with me. Like I hate Matt Riddle's gimmick. And I think that they're very similar and like in the same vein. Not exactly, but close, if you get what I'm saying. And like
Yeah.
but like man, Zack Ryder just got so over with me and I couldn't help but like really get behind the guy. Um and so to see him now, Matt Cardona out there doing all this great stuff, getting the chance to tweet about how he has too many wrestling titles to carry around at airports. Like I'm so fucking happy for this guy.
Yeah.
And he's defending the title against Nick Aldis next weekend. And I'm considering checking it out. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to yet or not, but like, man, good for him.
Yeah, we got Hook in the chat right now, everybody. He just had like 15 chats in here. So he basically said WWE is trash with their bookings. Um, what's he got here? By the end of the day, AEW is professional wrestling. Agreed, Hook, agreed. And the only thing
Yeah.
professional wrestling in the E is NXT UK. I have not been able to get a chance to watch any NXT UK. Maybe back when Pete Dunne was in it, I did, but we got Butch now.
Yeah. Well, which we'll get into questioning Fed decisions this week later
Yeah.
on in the show. So stick around, Hook. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. All right. So Rampage was last night. Unfortunately, I watched it. I did not get to take really a lot of notes. So let's do a quick little run. What were your thoughts on Rampage?
All right, so give me a quick one. Which was the first match that ran? I don't have that written down in front of me.
Oh man, see, I watched it like an hour ago. It was the Mark Quinn Darby Allin
Okay,
match.
yeah. So Darby Allin versus Mark Quinn. This match actually blew my freaking mind for a couple of minutes there. Um, Darby takes these spilling out of the ring over the rope spots, and he makes it look like a botch every time, and he makes it look like he died every time, and it is absolutely nuts. Um, and then the 450 splash from Quinn. I don't understand how both of them can be okay after something like that. Like, you saw the spot. He did a 450 splash off the top rope to the outside on Darby.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw that. It was great.
He landed it perfectly. But my God, how both of them can be okay after that is a miracle to me. Like, that spot is insane.
Yeah, I thought it was all around like a really good night of wrestling. I mean, Rampage continues to just be a really great show. Um, that match was great. The Mercedes Martinez Jamie Hayter match was great,
Oh yeah.
and Keith Lee QT Marshall was cool. Shane Swerve Strickland was awesome. Thought he was fantastic. That was the first match of his I've ever watched. Thought he killed it.
So good.
Um,
Both of them. Him and Tony
yeah,
Nese.
yeah, absolutely. And then the segments and the promos in between, I had a lot of fun with those. Also, the Hardy Boys making their entrance together was really cool,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about them in a little bit as well. Loved the House of Black segment, and I really loved, and I'm so happy she's back, the Hikaru Shida segment.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fantastic segment by Shida. Her English is getting better by the week, especially since we haven't seen her for like 2-3 months or whatever it was. I'm psyched that she's back, and I'm, you know,
Yeah.
ready to see her, as she put it, cut Serena Deeb's head off.
Yeah, that was a banging promo by her. If you would have watched my live review, I watched that live. I was like, yeah, Sheeta. I was like, that was fire. But real quick, back to the Aleister Black's promo. I can't tell you exactly what he said that made me think this. Because I believe he said like we're gonna show the hero he may have some poison inside still. Are we gonna see Aleister Black go after CM Punk?
I could see that making sense. I don't know if now's the time for that yet. Um, but it's
Well, because
possible. Again, I didn't get to take notes on this. It was just me. I knew we were podcasting tonight, and I
yeah,
finally got down. I got a chance to sit down and watch Rampage, so I kind of just watched it instead of taking notes.
gotcha. Well,
Um,
if it
so
didn't
I
pop
I
into
don't
your head immediately
remember.
because you're the CM Punk guy, maybe I'm just hearing things, but I thought he may have
Definitely
like
think that's.
subtly been referencing Punk in his promo.
I think it's definitely plausible. I mean, Punk seems like he wants to go after the title next, and
And
we'll
Cole
see
was
what
still
happens.
feuding
Punk,
with him, right?
yeah, he is. So I don't know. It's possible. I mean, Punk was off TV last week. I would expect that we see him on Wednesday. I can't see them not having CM Punk on for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. And we
But
know
we'll
MJF's
see.
gonna be there to interrupt Wardlow
Yeah, absolutely.
or
But so
fire Wardlow and have a 30-day no compete clause, which would be the fucking funniest thing ever.
yeah, I think that would be pretty funny. I really hope that's the way they go with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought all around it was a great Rampage. However, to the next point, there was one thing that they said on Rampage last night that really just irked me to death. So I'm sitting there watching. Do you know what I'm gonna say?
I don't.
Okay. So I'm sitting there, right? This was about 30 minutes ago before you got on. And I'm watching, and they say the AEW Rampage next week will be airing at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time.
What?
And I just put my hand over my face because of it was because of the NBA. And I was just like, God damn it. Like I don't know. I don't remember my work schedule is next week, but I was like, that's going to be a really tricky post Rampage podcast. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even know if I'm going to be up that late, period.
I don't even
Um,
know if I'll do a watch along for that. Man.
I know. And so the next thing I wanted to kind of discuss was let's
There it
talk about what
is. Yeah.
let's talk about Rampage time slots, because we do that every few weeks. And you know what? And I think you might have mentioned, I don't remember exactly if it's what you mentioned, but I think what would be a great idea, especially with AEW's huge talent roster and whatnot. Let's get Rampage on Saturday nights 6 to 8. I think
Yeah.
that's a great time slot. I think, or 7 to 9. I think 6 to 8 would be better.
I mean,
But
Rampage is only 1 hour, right? But give us two
yeah,
hours.
well, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Like, let's get Rampage on 2 hours. It'll give you more opportunities to get guys on
Yeah.
on TV, and like
You're gonna.
better time slot. Because like I understand if you don't want to go against SmackDown, I get it. SmackDown's been around for like 20 something years, 30
Yeah.
years, whatever. You don't want to do that yet. I completely understand that. It's not time yet. It will be someday, but it's not now. You know, okay. So then let's go Saturday nights, 6 to 8. And here's the thing, right? Like, say they have a pay-per-view on a Saturday night. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Do
Just
that.
don't have Rampage.
No, I'm saying have a Rampage, but have a Rampage on Friday nights then.
Gotcha. Or Rampage can be your buy-in, like it kind of was for Revolution.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that there's so many places they could go with it. Like that or Thursday. And like keep in mind, we don't know what the plan is with ROH. Which we'll talk a little bit about ROH later on, but man, this Rampage thing, like it's bad enough in its time slot as it is on Friday nights. Next week, I'm sure they'll probably get like 400,000, 500,000 people to watch it, because they usually do when they go to those crazy time slots. I remember last year, I think Rampage went on at, I think even later than 11:30. I think it went on at like midnight the one time.
You might be right,
Um,
actually. I think I remember that. I stayed up
yeah,
for it. I was
and
like, this is bullshit, but I'm watching Rampage.
yeah, exactly. It's just, man,
I like
what do you think about time slots?
I like your idea. Saturday from 6 to 8. Give us 2 hours. You'll sell the tickets to the show. I promise. I mean, you know what I mean. People pay. People go to see Dynamite. People will go see Rampage if it's live, and if it has its own show. Um, you
I'll
could
even do
even
you one better. I'll even do you one better. How about this? So, when we go to Dynamite, they film Elevation, and
yeah.
then they do Dynamite, and then they do Rampage. What if, and again, this would help more guys get on the roster, instead of doing an hour of Elevation, 2 of Dynamite, and 1 of Rampage, the Wednesday tapings can be this. It could be 2 hours of Elevation, 2 hours of Dynamite. And then the Rampage tapings on Saturdays can be the 2 hours of Rampage and 2 hours of Ring of Honor.
I just spelled ROH in the air while you were talking because that was literally what I was gonna say next. I absolutely agree with you. Um, I would say get rid of Elevation. To be honest with you, um, it's an expense on the company. I actually pretty sure it's an expense on them that they don't make almost any money from that.
You
So
said for Dark or for Elevation?
for Elevation, Dark is good because it's at the studios. You know what I mean? Um,
Well, no. Why would they get rid of Elevation?
it's just a
it's just more
pre-show to
matches that they
Dynamite,
film.
right? Well, what I'm
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
is, I agree with you with the Ring of Honor thing. Do Ring of Honor before both shows, and that would give Ring of
uh,
Honor a decent amount of content.
so I disagree with it just on the matter of like the goal of my plan is like, so my plan has 2 points to it. Number one is to get AEW content into the best time slot possible. Number two is to make sure that as much of the AEW roster as possible can have a spot on programming, whether it be on YouTube or on TV.
Yeah,
So that's why I would not get rid of Elevation. I think Dark Elevation is very important to their brand. I think
okay,
that it lets their younger guys and their mid card guys and the guys who are kind of just waiting for their next storyline to start to have something to do. So I would absolutely not get rid of Elevation. And I'm also not saying just do ROH tapings on Saturday. Like maybe you do the 2 hours of ROH then, but maybe you also have like, I don't know, like just like a random TV taping because I don't know if ROH is going to still do the bulk the way of doing things. But that you could probably have an hour time slot for ROH on like Thursdays.
Yeah.
I just think that that's the best way to do it. Um,
Whew, that's a lot
I
of
think
wrestling, man.
it's a lot of
Whew.
wrestling, but I mean, they have the roster and they can keep it fresh. So
Yeah. And the only reason I say like get rid of Elevation, I don't really mean get rid of. I kind of mean pull all the Elevation stickers off and slap Ring of Honor stickers on. That's kind of what I mean. You know what I mean? Um, that that really like lower level development, I think that's what they intend for Ring of Honor. So that's kind of what I meant.
I understand. I would keep it as two separate brandings.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
All right. So on to some other news. Miro signed an extension this week. He will be with All Elite Wrestling through 2026.
Yeah. 4 years. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean I think it's great, and it's a testament again to the roster where this guy's been out nursing up an injury, along with Kenny Omega, and yet the roster's just fine without him. Imagine when he gets back, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, he brings his wife with him. I hope he brings CJ with him.
Hope he brings what?
His wife, CJ.
Now, who is his wife? Oh, you said Miro. I'm sorry. Yeah, when she comes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he should bring her with him.
Gotcha. For some reason, my brain just like switched over to Kenny Omega, and I was like, "Who's Kenny Omega's wife?"
Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, so who do you hope to see Miro feud with when he gets back?
um, to be honest with you, Hangman.
I think that would be a good challenger for him.
I mean, or whoever has the belt after this Adam Cole Hangman feud. Um, I do think there's a small chance Adam Cole winds up with the belt if they have another match, but if not, I do think Miro should be next in line.
Hmm.
Just because
I
he'll be
agree with that.
really hot when he comes back. You know what I mean? The pop for him is going to be nuts.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I think that would be really cool.
And not necessarily give it to him, but just, throw him in there, have him go destroy Hangman or somebody. Whoever wins that match, have him come out after the celebration.
Right. All right. So on Wednesday, worst kept secret in wrestling history, Jeff Hardy debuted in AEW, and we got the Hardy Boys. Um, just kind of wanted to kind of touch back on this and talk about how excited we are. I think that this is going to be an awesome run. I can't wait to see all the matches that the Hardys have with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think the first team that is going to be?
So it looks like the first match is going to be Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin. Um, I think it's going to be Private Party. I think it's going to
I
be
agree.
them Private Party.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was funny because I saw something on Twitter the other day about a match in ROH, I think it was, where it was the Bucks, the Hardys, and Roppongi Vice. Um, I would love to see that again. I would love to see that. That would be great. The AEW is such a strong tag team roster, and it's such a like testament to the Young Bucks, and because the Young Bucks are really kind of like the caretakers of the tag team division for the most part. And it's like, man, like what a stacked division. Like
It really is.
there's easily like 5 teams at any given point who it's totally believable that they should be the tag champions. Like
Yeah,
5 or
absolutely.
6. And now you got the Hardys in there and they're going to have matches with every single one of them.
Can you imagine the Hardys versus Mox and Danielson?
I can. I actually had this kind of like fantasy booking, like, and I'll ask you the same question, but I might take your answer. A tag match that I would love to see with the Hardys in it more than any other match. I would love to see the Hardys go up against a heel Brian Danielson and a heel CM Punk.
Okay.
Just the levels of that stuff. Like number one, we gotta touch on the CM Punk Jeff Hardy history at some point in AEW. Like we have to.
Yeah.
When Punk turns heel, like there needs to be something where he just tears at Jeff Hardy. Um would love to see those guys go at it again and find an extension. I think that would just be a really cool tag team. Now, obviously, Punk and Bryan aren't a tag team right now, but you never know. I think eventually we're going to see them kind of do some work together.
Yeah. There's that
So,
picture, it seems like AEW likes to do these long-term storylines, obviously. So for them to take that picture of Punk and Danielson from, WWE, they might do it.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, look forward to the Hardy Boys. Very exciting times. Um, Small little news thing. Tony Chimmel was at AEW last week on Wednesday. He could possibly, there's some rumors going around that he might do some work for the company. If you don't know who Tony Chimmel is, he was the ring announcer for SmackDown, mostly SmackDown, for most of the early 2000s, and I think some of the teens too. Don't quote me on that one, but his biggest contribution was the Edge's Rated R Superstar introduction.
Or rated
Um,
R superstar.
yeah, I like Tony Chimmel. I think he's from Philly. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think I heard somewhere he's from Philly. Shout
I'm
out to
not
him if he is.
not sure either, but yeah, he's a decent announcer. I'm hoping they're hiring him for like some Ring of Honor maybe or something else, because
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I again, like with Ring of Honor coming up, they're gonna need extra guys because there's no one else under contract from Ring of Honor. So you would
yeah,
have to assume that they're gonna bring in an announcer and commentators and referees. Like I would just assume that they're gonna do that. Maybe referees they reuse AEW referees, but I don't know. It seems like they want ROH to kind of separate a little bit from AEW, so we'll see what happens with that.
yeah, we'll see.
But it's just something to keep in mind. All right, next up, a higher up media. I'm sorry, a high up executive in Warner Media does not want the Briscoes to be signed in AEW due to previous homophobic, controversial tweets that the Briscoes made.
From freaking 2013 that they've apologized for. You know what I mean? Come on. But AEW has multiple LGBTQ wrestlers, so there's a chance that they actually consulted with them as well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expect. Um, I mean, look, man, it's not a good look. I
Nah,
mean, be kind to one another, like
yeah,
let's not be shitty
yeah,
assholes to each other. Let's be human beings to each other. Um, yeah, and like I am kind of like I've always been kind of like wary of the whole cancel culture thing, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you're being homophobic, that's kind of not good. Like,
yeah. I
it's
mean,
like,
in this sense, it's not necessarily cancel culture here. Like, you know how much I hate the whole cancel culture thing. I actually don't see that here. I just see a company who right away they saw that when these guys were available, they just came down right away and they're like, hey, listen, we don't want them here, so just don't even bother. And that was that. They didn't post it all over Facebook. They didn't post it all over Twitter trying to get everyone to hate them. They were just like, listen, don't even talk to them. So I don't feel like
yeah,
they tried to do any sort of cancel culture here. It's a shame we won't get to see that in an AEW setting. We're probably going to see it somewhere else, because FTR's announced they're going to take indie bookings now. But it is what it
yeah. I
is.
kind of feel like that might be the reason for that.
Yeah,
But no, I mean,
absolutely.
again, it's like it's just a lesson to be learned, and it's a lesson that a lot of people in the social media age have learned. It's like, don't be a shitty person.
Yeah, don't say stupid shit online. People snapshot that shit immediately. You could delete it all
Yeah.
you want, but it's there forever.
Yeah, you go back on the Wayback Machine, you can
Yeah.
find it. It's there. Um, but yeah, so I mean, if you're hoping for the Briscoes, do not hold your breath. You most
Yeah,
likely will
nope.
not see them in AEW.
Not gonna see him.
Um, so you wanted to talk about this next one a little bit. So CM Punk did some really cool nostalgic stuff at Revolution. He got shit for it. Why don't you go ahead and air your grievance on this one?
Yeah. So a bunch of people had a problem with CM Punk using his music from Ring of Honor, Miseria Cantaria, and that was his Ring of Honor entrance. people were like, I'm confused. I don't understand what's going on. This is from 20 years ago. What? And the very next night, Edge comes out to Brood music with the blue light on, the purple light, whatever you want to call it, dressed in a black suit. This was exactly what he did in 1998. But I didn't hear a peep out of anybody being like, I don't understand what's going on. And it just shows you that there's people literally just waiting for stuff to talk shit on AEW about. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I think there's a big
double standard, I think's the word.
no, so I know where you're saying. I think that there's a weird kind of there's two different mindsets, right? I feel like if you're an AEW fan and you don't watch the Fed, I think that most viewers have reasons why
Yeah.
you don't watch the Fed. Um, Whereas I feel like the other way around, I feel like if you watch the Fed and you don't watch any other company, not just AEW, I feel like it's more of a you hate it because it's not the Fed.
Yeah.
Like, let's be clear here. There was a point where I would have considered myself a WWE diehard, where I considered myself a lifer. If you had asked me like 10 years ago, like, oh, I'm a WWE lifer, I'm going to be a fan forever. Not this is not the
Nah.
case. It's
But
not the case.
you know what I actually think happened, and I think like you kind of helped me get there, is you know how there was the Monday Night Wars?
Yeah.
So WWE won the war, right? So everybody put their torches down. And all of a sudden now, people created this new war that doesn't actually exist yet. You know what I mean? Because they're a brand new company. They're not trying to start any wars. They're purposely being on opposite time slots and opposite days. You know what I mean? But I still think all these WWE soldiers, we can call them, it's fine. They all picked up their swords and shields and pitchforks again. You know what I mean? So like, I think that's what happened is they think there's a war again, and there's really not at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's not a war yet.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll
I
get
have my
there.
opinions about the company, but I don't know, man. It's a hypocrisy. I can't tell you how many times I go on to like Twitter or Reddit or anywhere where there's people commenting on things, and it's just like a WWE mark saying how much they hate AEW, but they don't watch it. They don't watch the product. They don't know anything about the product. They just know that they don't like it.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, if a WWE mark were to sit down and talk to me, right, and they were to ask me, how could you hate WWE? I
give
would
them
have
a
a
list.
lot to say. I
Yeah,
would have a whole hell of a lot of things to say.
be like,
But
how
I
much
don't
time you got?
think, yeah, but I don't think that the conversation would reciprocate. I like to, I just don't think that would be the case. I think that the WWE mark would be like, oh, it's just all flips and shit. There's no substance
Yeah, all they have
and
is
like,
stuff
oh,
like
it's
you have a
a bunch of indie
dinosaur.
rats.
There's a
Yeah, a bunch
dinosaur
of
as your
indie
tag
rats.
team champion. It's like, come
Yeah, a
on, dude,
bunch of
he's cool
indie,
as hell.
bunch of indie rats, man. Like, I'm just like, what do you like? Like again, like clearly, like they would all say the same thing, which is why people call them the E drones.
Yep.
Like there's a reason for it. Okay, like I'm a mark. I'll tell you right now, I'm a mark for AEW, but I'm not sheep or
No.
blinded or like we sit here, we do these reviews every week.
Yeah.
AEW doesn't always get it perfect, but you know what? They fucking try, and
Yeah.
they don't insult my intelligence, and
And
therefore they get the benefit of the doubt.
there's stuff they do that we don't like, and we call them out for it. Like the Rosa losing to Britt Baker at Revolution. I still think that was the wrong thing to do. Even though we know we're gonna get the payoff here next week, like still, I think the better idea was at Revolution because it made that the worst match of the night. But you know what I mean. So, but we give them their due critique when it's due.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the Fed, it is now time for the one of my favorite segments called Fed Blunders of the Week. We got to get like a
Jesus.
little jingle. Got to get like a little jingle for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So two things kind of came to mind for me this week, and keep in mind, I don't watch the product. I probably would have more if I watched it at this point, if I could stomach it. So, Dolph Ziggler, right? Dolph Ziggler is the NXT champion.
Who
And my
who has
initial thought was,
real
like,
quick, who has
yeah,
now
right.
held every major men's title in WWE
That's not true. He didn't win
besides the
he hasn't won
Universal, right?
the Universal or the WWE.
So does the WWE Championship not count as the World Heavyweight Championship because they like merged them together?
No, I would say they're two different titles because the
Okay.
WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight title were two different titles at the time.
Okay. Then he
It
hasn't
wasn't an
had those two then.
evolution.
Okay.
Yeah, so he has not held the WWE or the Universal. He's held the World Heavyweight, the NXT, Intercontinental US, and a slew of tag team titles, I
Yep.
believe. So earlier in the show, we were talking about like 10 years, like I had like this group of guys who I was just so into, right? And Dolph was one of those guys. When like there was a time where if you asked me my opinion on Dolph Ziggler, I would tell you I see Shawn Michaels. And like straight up, and
Yeah.
you can critique me for it. Anyone can. I mean, that's just how I felt about the guy. I was
Uh,
really strong on the guy, really
100%.
high on the guy. Even
100%. I see
before
it
he
too.
won the World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio,
Yeah.
it was so like I want to be happy for the guy. I really do. But like, so what exactly is NXT then? Like, because it's supposed to be your developmental, but you're giving the world title to a guy who's been kind of riffraff in your company for the 15 years at this point. And he's definitely a guy who just kind of took the paycheck and pieced out. Like, I mean, which is fine. Again, make your money, dude. But
Yeah, he got
I
paid.
don't know. He's a guy that like I definitely have lost a lot of respect for over the last 10 years or so. Um, he's just kind of there doing nothing, and now he's the NXT champion, and it's very confusing for me because it's like make up your mind to what you want NXT to be then. Like, is it your
Yeah.
developmental? Is it not? It's like, why is Dolph Ziggler your champion then?
Yeah, like what is the point of having him come down and beat the brand new big thing you got going? Now, when I say, so somebody asked me this on, I think it was on YouTube actually, in a comment section somewhere. They're like, how is Dolph Ziggler winning, insulting our intelligence? And I was like, because it immediately tells you what's happening at WrestleMania. I'm like, you now know that at WrestleMania, Braun's going to beat him and take the title back and be a big star. And then the next year he's going to be brought up and he's going to be their next big star. Like, they literally just told you what's happening for the next 2 years. And people are like, how do you know that? And I'm like, because I've been watching for long enough to where I know. Just
Yeah,
like with
and
Pete
like,
Dunne, like I've been watching long enough to know he's fucked. You know what I mean? Like they
I'm
specifically
sorry.
said we don't want professional wrestlers. And unfortunately for Pete, there's only one thing he's good at, and it's professional wrestling.
I'm sorry. Who?
Oh, Butch, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Butch. And that's the second
God.
blunder of the week from the Fed. What?
Yeah,
I'm
what?
sorry.
They dressed
Like
him up like one of the newsies from 1930, and they gave him the bully's name, Butch.
so like I was trying to sleep last night, right? I'm sitting there, because again I had work at my job at 5 a.m. this morning, and I'm sitting there last night, Friday night. It's like 8:30, 8:45. I'm laying in bed, trying to fall asleep, sipping on a nice cold liquid death. And my phone buzzes, and I pick it up, and it's a notification from Fightful, and Sean Ross Sapp saying, "Holy fuck balls, they really called him Budge or Butch."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? Why? And it's just like, there was a funny quote. And I don't know if you've ever heard it because it's a really funny quote. I shared it with Forrest last night, where it's like it was when George W. Bush was president, and the saying, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me."
Yeah.
Well, so you have to look it up later
Oh,
after
I
we're
know
done the
this quote
podcast.
very well. Don't worry.
So you
Oh
know it
yeah.
then. Okay, so Bush says, like, he tries to do the line and just
Says,
completely fucking slaughters it.
says
He
well,
says something
the
like,
fool man can't get fooled again.
yeah, he's like, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Yeah. You can't get fooled again."
Yeah, he's
Just
like,
like, and that's the Fed fans, man. They're like, these guys, these guys, man. They just don't get it. The guy after guy, hero after hero, they take your stars and they destroy them.
yeah,
And that was the final straw for me with the Fed. I was tired of my heroes getting destroyed and ruined. So I stopped. And like, if you're still watching that product, I get it.
bless you.
Like, there's a lot of legends in that. There's a lot to unravel from, like, our childhoods and from, like, our pasts. I remember really strongly, again, being such a strong fan of that company back in the day. I remember going around, doing the DX suck it. I remember, I was such a huge DX fan. I loved Degeneration X.
Yeah,
The
me
fact
too.
that I'm sitting here in 2022 and you ask me who my favorite tag team is, and I'm not saying DX, it's insane. It's incredible to me. If you had told me from 15 years ago or even 10 years ago that, I wouldn't believe you. So it's just like, stop giving this company the opportunity to let you down.
Yeah.
Okay, like, just stop. Just knock it off. Um, I'm kind of done with the Fed talk for right now. So, are you ready to move on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Because it's not fun to talk about the Fed, but it's
Nah.
it's it's we have a responsibility to keep it real. I feel like here on the Broken Tables podcast.
Yeah,
So we're
absolutely.
going to. All right, back to some AEW stuff. So we did a review of Dynamite on Wednesday, and there was some pacing issues that we had talked about. It was actually revealed that the reason for this pacing issue was William Regal. So William Regal actually went on much longer than he was supposed to.
Yep. And
Which,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. I'm not really mad about it. I think it's totally okay. I think the
No.
promo was beautiful. I thought it was amazing. I don't think anyone's really mad at him for it. It was just kind of a little note that I wanted to add on,
Yeah.
kind of in defense of that second hour. It would have been more well paced if William Regal didn't take an extra, like, 6 or 7 minutes, which is fine.
Yeah, but they had the perfect opportunity to remedy this. Like, if they would have said to themselves, like, hey, if he goes over, we need to do this, the pack match didn't need to happen. So if they had just removed that pack match, I'm not sure who he even wrestled. Like, I already forget. You know what I
Wheeler
mean?
Yuta. He wrestled Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, Wheeler Yuta. That match definitely did not need to happen. They could have taken 1 minute of that and given extra time to Regal. And then they could have given the other, 3-minute, 4-minute match. They could have given that to the Hardy segment, which was also cut short,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with the critique. I think that they were just trying to keep the show as true to the card as possible.
Yeah, need some
The
wrestling
sheet.
in there. I get it.
Yeah, so I understand it, but I just wanted to kind of mention that. It was a little note that I came across.
Yeah, and
My travels on
Regal,
Twitter this week.
he didn't have to apologize, but that just shows how good of a dude he is, man. He actually went out of his way to apologize to all of them in person, and then he posted it online like, listen, I should have been a professional. Like, that's as good as it gets, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, class act, complete
Oh, and
class from Mr. Regal.
real quick, while we're on the topic of Regal, when he had spoke about his health, people actually kind of panicked and thought he was like dying or something. He actually came out and said, whoa, 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 everybody, I've never been this healthy before. He's like, I was talking about a few years back, so calm down. So if anybody's still
Yeah,
worried, he is good. He's in the best health he has been in, I think it's about 5 years now. He had his problems in 2017 and 18, I believe, but he is doing well now. We should hear that on the Jericho podcast, right?
Yeah,
Talk is
apparently he's
Jericho.
on Talk is Jericho,
Yeah.
and they discussed it a little bit more. Apparently Meltzer kind of put some unnecessary heat on it, saying that it seemed more serious than it was, but Regal's saying it's not the case, and I don't see why Regal would lie about it. It's his own
Yeah.
health, and he literally talks about it on the podcast. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I had the same thought when he was talking about it. Like, you know, in a few years, my wife's gonna be pushing me next to the sunny window. I was like, damn, what's wrong with him? You know what I mean? So he just kind
I
of
think
he cut a promo. That's all.
Yeah, I think that the point of that promo, and I didn't think much of it myself at the time, but I guess a lot of people did, where I just thought he was saying, listen, I've had a very destructive past that everyone knows about, and, that usually catches up to guys when we get a little bit older, So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I interpret it. I just interpret it as like, hey, look, I've made some poor mistakes in my life that will, in the long run, affect my lifespan. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of how I took it. I didn't take it as anything like, oh, well, I'm like dying or anything.
No, yeah. And dude,
Um,
I think we see Regal in the ring again.
we'll see.
They moved
I
him
don't
out of the
know.
coaches section on AEW into the active roster.
I saw that. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
Imagine a trios
Not
match.
again.
Mox and Danielson beat the shit out of somebody and just hand him to him. He gives him a couple chest slaps and tags out. I see it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Listen,
It'll be fun. We'll have fun with it.
if Sting's going through tables from the fucking top floor of a mezzanine or whatever you want to call that tunnel, I think he could at least have a match.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But I don't know what his health problems were. We'll have to wait till after. If it was like heart stuff or lung stuff, then obviously probably not.
Yeah. We'll see. Let's
Yeah,
just enjoy the ride.
God, if I saw him in the ring again, I'd mark out so hard.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I'd freak out.
All right. Next up on the news, we have Tony Khan will be booking both AEW and Ring of Honor, starting
Yeah.
with the Supercard of Honor on April 1st. I'm concerned.
I'm only concerned if he, isn't constantly having to do this with the Jaguars and with Fulham Football Club. So, like, I understand he's the owner of all of them, but he needs to hand the football club off to someone and hand, both football clubs off to someone and run these two day to day if that's what he wants. Because those two brands are already built. Those brands have massive fan bases already. I mean, the Jaguars could use a little more, but he doesn't need to focus and build that. So if he's trying to do this, he needs to focus on these two.
See, I don't think he should do the booking for ROH. I think that he should have overall final say, and I think he should definitely be like in the loop and like have a voice and be like he should be what Vince should be for the Fed for ROH. Like at this point, like you have a creative team, they're doing their stuff. They're not doing a very good job about it.
Yeah.
But like he should have a presence. He should step in when he feels the need to. He can have some ideas. He has final say, but I say give someone else the reins. And I can think of a few guys who I would give the opportunity to. What about Dustin? Let's give Dustin Rhodes the opportunity. If the Cody thing isn't a work, and we'll talk about Cody at the end of the show. If it's not a work and he's not going to Ring of Honor, like let's put Dustin there. Why not? Like there's other guys too. William Regal could do it. Like if I sat down and really thought about it, I could probably come up with like 4 or 5 other guys or girls who would deserve the opportunity to run Ring of Honor. And it's like, yeah, I would give it to one of them. And this isn't a concern in the terms of quality on Tony Khan, but I really don't want Tony Khan to get burned out. I really don't. And the guy, like you said, he's running an American football club. He's running in a European or whatever football club, soccer, whatever. He's running now 2 wrestling promotions. I just don't want the guy to get burned out. Like I really don't. And some people live life that way and they're fine. And if he can do it, like if he can do it and nothing dips in quality, then I'm all for it. But like, man, I would say just control ROH from afar. Let it kind of be its own thing.
Yeah, I mean we'll get to it later, but I actually think he's just saying that for now, and somebody else is going to run it. We'll talk about that later.
Probably. Again, taking it at face value.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, viewership numbers are in for AEW Dynamite last Wednesday on TBS. They finished the night at 945,000 viewers with a 18 to 49 demo rating of zero point 0.4. So the viewership did go down by about 2%. The demo was up 12%.
Yep.
Dynamite, despite being down in viewership, which right now it's very understandable just because of world events. It's very like right now the world is very news heavy, and the NBA, just so many other things going on. It's understandable for the viewership to be down, but
Yeah.
despite that, Dynamite was ranked number 1 in cable on Wednesday.
Yes. And now let me explain to some of these, the E-drones, I guess we call you guys, if any of you happen to be watching and haven't left by now. So when the ratings go down 2% and you guys get all happy like, look at that, you couldn't even match last week's, the overall of all television viewing in a giant huge bubble was down, and they were still number 1 over Tucker Carlson, which is almost always number 1, over 2 NBA games, and another news show. I can't remember who the other one is. It's probably that dude on CNN. I forget his name, but either way,
Yeah.
they were number 1 show. And if that just means that their ratings were down from last week, that is overall TV was down. You know what I mean? So it's not AEW had less people watching. They may have had more people watching that, weren't watching the week before. It's kind of a weird catch-22. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so an interesting little fun fact about the demo going up, it was actually driven by women.
Yeah.
Females 18 to 49 was up by 20% compared to the median of the prior 4 weeks. So I mean that's a big jump there. So that means 20% of the female audience, it went up by by 20, by a fifth. That's a pretty substantial gain there. People don't realize, but the demo is what's most important, and AEW is constantly killing it in the demo. And you might, for those, again, I don't think there's any Fed drones left. But if you're asking yourself, well, what do the demos matter? It should be total viewership. The demo is important because it shows the future trends. If you have the demo now, then you're set because you're showing that young people are watching your show and enjoying your show.
Yep.
WWE, you look at their ratings and their demo is the 55 plus demo. And, not to be negative, but what you got the 55 plus. What are they doing 20 years from now? Probably dead.
I just figured it out now with the whole Edge and CM Punk thing. You just made it make sense. So the WWE, their median age is what, 55, 60 of their average viewer?
Yeah.
So those dudes didn't,
much older.
They didn't watch Ring of Honor, right? So they see CM Punk's old entrance and they're confused out of their minds. But the 65-year-old audience, they were watching 30 years ago when Edge did that same entrance. So, okay, I see how they understood now.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, ignorance is bliss, they say,
Mm-hmm.
But so the demo matters because it shows you the future trends and it shows you what advertisers where they're going to go. Because apart from Domino's, everyone wants to advertise on shows like AEW because of the demo, because of how great the demo is. It's just marketing, man. The demographic of 18 to 49, they're the ones who buy everything. They're the people that TV caters to, that the world caters to be honest. If you're younger than 18, you don't have money. If you're older than 49, you're old. It's just the way that the world looks at age,
Yeah.
So it's like, it is what it is. But
when people say, the demo doesn't matter, and I'm like, you can't say that when that is the only thing that matters to advertisers. They're literally like, what number are you in the demo? Okay, you're getting paid this much for our commercial. Like, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
You tell the professionals it doesn't matter. Go for it.
Right. All right. So, gonna play a little game with you, Jeff.
Let's do it.
Let's see how you do. So who right now is the TNT champion?
TNT champion. I got a picture of him up on my screen right now. It is Scorpio Sky.
Oh, okay. And Scorpio Sky, was he ever in the Fed in terms of like a roster capacity?
I don't think he's ever even graced the NXT roster. No.
Okay, okay. Who's the TBS champion right now?
That would be my favorite female wrestler in wrestling at the moment, Jade Cargill.
Okay. Has she ever been in the Fed?
No, she actually told them no before she came to AEW, which is why I like her even more.
Interesting, interesting. Who's the tag team champions in AEW right now?
Tag team champion. That's crazy. I just happen to have a picture of them as well. That is going to be Jurassic Express. I got their shirt up here in front of me. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
And have either of them been in the Fed?
I'm going to be honest, and I think Luchasaurus graced NXT and they rejected him after like a month. But other than that, they are not WWE guys, no.
Okay. And you're doing great so far. You've answered every question correctly. You're getting all the points. Who's the women's champion in AEW right now?
That would be Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
And apart from her being Adam Cole's girlfriend at an NXT event, and a squash match as an enhancement talent, has she been in the Fed?
Nope.
Okay. Last question. Well, second to last question. Who is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion?
That would be the Hangman, Adam Page.
Okay. And has he ever wrestled in World Wrestling Entertainment?
I don't think he's even thought about it.
Okay. All right, last question, Jeff, for all the marbles. Double or nothing, Are you ready?
I'm trying to think if there are any more champions, but go for it.
Are there any champions in All Elite Wrestling that are not homegrown talent and have never, been in WWE?
Well, let me see if my friend, I wish was my friend, Ref Aubrey, can help me with the answer here. And that would be no.
So, sorry for the long bit. This probably went on a little bit too long.
No, this is good. I love it.
The thought, the critique that AEW just pushes WWE guys. They just sign all these former WWE wrestlers and just make them the stars of the company.
Nope.
It's obnoxious. It's absurd. It's completely absurd.
They are obviously used to enhance their talent.
Right. And here's the thing, right? Like we've talked about it. It's okay for the wrestlers to go work somewhere else. Like just because you work for WWE doesn't mean you're damaged goods or garbage. You're allowed to go work again. It's not like, oh, okay, well my career's over. I had my run in the Fed. Now I just go sit by the phone and wait for John Laurinaitis to call me so I could show up in a fucking gimmick battle royale at WrestleMania.
People power.
It doesn't always it doesn't work that way. Like these people can go out and work and have lives and have careers after working there.
People power.
Right. Oh.
God, I hate that guy.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so it's like I just wanted to kind of make a quick little thing because I tweeted about this on the official podcast Twitter earlier today. It's just, hey, listen, stop that. Stop making this outrageous critique that just because some WWE stars wrestle in AEW now, that doesn't mean that the only stars in the company are WWE guys.
Yeah.
You don't watch the product, so you only know the WWE guys. That's ignorance. Don't get that twisted.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to something a little bit more positive. Paige Vanzant, who signed her AEW contract on Wednesday on the ass of Ty Conti,
Oh,
um, did an interview with ESPN, and I was just going to kind of quote a little bit of it. I thought it was a pretty good, interesting interview. I definitely recommend you go and read it. Um, just kind of like long story short, like she seems like she's legitimately like psyched to be here and psyched to be wrestling.
nice.
Um, let me see if I can get the quote.
I know they're sending her down somewhere to train, like in North Carolina or something, right?
Probably to the factory, I would assume.
Yeah,
The Nightmare Factory, that is.
I think they said some like South Carolina Wrestling Alliance or something weird like that.
Maybe. I don't know. But so anyway, so she was asked about why she wanted to get into wrestling, and she said, this is a direct quote, "The more I got involved, the more I loved it. I just realized I was meant to be a part of this show. I wanted to be one of the wrestlers for them, and I knew I would be really good at it." She was asked about her training. She said, "My only frustration so far with my whole pro wrestling journey is I would show up and I said, 'Hey, I want to jump off the ropes tonight. I want to slam someone through a table tonight.' Shout out to our podcast. Someone is getting slammed through a table. They're like, you should probably train first. My only concern is they don't let me do the crazy stuff right away. I want to go in there and I want to do all the crazy stuff. I want to be fully immersed. I'm sorry. I want to fully immerse myself in this world." End quote.
Nice.
I think that like that quote right there is just everything like that you want to
Dude.
hear from someone. This is not a college football player like, oh, I could make millions of dollars and be set for life and I don't even have to really do anything.
You
Like,
know
no,
what?
this is someone that wants to go out and do this and be one of the guys or one of the girls, whatever you want to say. And like, they just want to be part of it. And like, that's fucking beautiful.
Dude, if she gets good at this, I actually think she saw Ronda get into this, and Ronda sucks at wrestling, by the way. Like anybody who enjoys watching Ronda in WWE, I'm sorry, but it's not good. Um, I actually think she's going to be a way better version of Ronda Rousey in the ring.
I agree. Um, yeah.
I've already said
It's a good interview. I recommend you go read the whole thing.
I will.
It was a good read.
Man, I hope Ronda doesn't wind up watching this one day. She did retweet us a couple times. Sorry, Ronda.
See, I don't think Ronda's too bad in the ring. My biggest issue with Ronda Rousey is like more so her mannerisms outside of her wrestling.
Yeah. Well, she was very
It's
angry with the
like,
crowd for turning on her last time, and she didn't realize like that's just how it goes, you know.
yeah, I don't know. Again, like I don't really have an issue with
Sorry,
her
Ronda.
in ring stuff
I'm sorry.
as much as her out of ring stuff.
All right.
All right. Code Watch 2022.
Okay.
So Monday Night Raw is going to be running out of Jacksonville on Monday. A vibe check. How are you feeling about Cody possibly being on this show?
So I went from there's a 0% chance he shows up there. That's where I was last week. I was basically like, he is not showing up in WWE. I don't care what you guys say. But with all of the things that have been happening, I think it is plausible that the E this week, I don't think anything was happening before this week. Like, I think where I stood last week was actually where Cody stood as well. But I think with all the stuff going on, especially with Big E getting injured like this, I think they are going to throw a ridiculous amount of money at him to get him to come. And I don't know if he'll be able to say no. You know what I mean? But I've gone from about 0% to like 25%. I think he might actually show up on Monday.
So kind of in the same vein as you. I think if it's gonna happen, they're gonna want to do it in Jacksonville. They're gonna want to take that knife and they're gonna want to try to put it through the AEW fans' chest. Um, and for me, it's a totally somber thought. It's something that really bums me out when I think about it.
Yeah.
Uh, I follow Tranquilo Club, um, and he's pretty much in the same way. We're like he's a big Cody fan. I'm a huge Cody fan. I love his Cody memes about Cody leaving. He said the other day he responded to Cody's tweet. He said, "My camera roll feels empty without you," and I felt that. It's just, um, man, it's just.
And Brandy
Right now,
tweeted,
I'm at a 35% chance that Cody shows up on Raw in Jacksonville.
yeah,
Um, and it could just be, the stress of, where like what's going on, the unknown that's making me kind of get a little antsy about it. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't want to see him there. I think it's a
no,
black eye on his legacy, and it's something that you can't wash out, even if unless again he's really playing this long game where like he uses it like if like the plan is for him to go to the Fed and like do a year there and then come back to AEW and just be like ultra heel, win the world title and that's the plan, then like I'm okay with it in the long term, like because it accomplishes its job. It makes him hated because I would hate him at that point. I would.
yeah.
Um, and I said I would never hate Cody Rhodes, but I would definitely not be cheering Cody Rhodes at that point.
Now,
Um,
I'll be honest, I would feel the exact same unless they put him against Roman immediately and had him being like, "You're everything I hate about this place." You know what I mean? I would actually freaking love that.
well, so here's the thing. I wouldn't care less what he's doing there or how it's spun when he's there. They've done that type of shtick in the past where they know people hate Roman and they know that, like, for me, Roman Reigns, no matter how good his stuff is now, Roman Reigns will always be the embodiment of everything I hate about that place. Not to echo what you said, but that's legitimately how I feel about Roman
Yeah,
Reigns. I don't
yeah,
care how good his heel run has been as the tribal chief. Anytime I see Roman Reigns, I just think about how I'm no longer a fan of that company. And I think
yeah,
of all the things that company did to lose me as a fan and as a customer. And I think like I don't care if Cody goes there and does that because they know that people feel that way about Roman and they would put Cody in that spot where it would make Cody very like they would want the AEW fans to come over and watch WrestleMania. That's the whole reason why they would sign Cody. Um, which
yeah.
I would not be following Cody there. That is the one place I cannot follow him. That is he's Anakin turning to the dark side and I'm Padme. Like I'm not going down that road, bro.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to choke me till I lose the will to live, which that's just the way it's gonna be. It's the way it's gonna be. Um, I would say this, you know, to AEW fans out there who are, like me, that big fans of Cody. Be grateful for what we have because you know what, Cody's been gone since January. We've had 2 months of AEW without him, and the show's done just fine. In fact, since he's been gone, I would say that they are on a hot streak right now of great dynamites. So,
Yeah.
you know, all we can do is kind of watch and wait and see what happens. Um, I really hope that he doesn't do that and tarnish his good name. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I guess we'll see what happens. Now, my question for you, Jeff, is: do we do an emergency podcast Monday night if Cody shows up in Jacksonville?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Okay. Well, then we will. Hopefully, we are not doing an emergency podcast Monday night.
No,
Not that
yeah.
I don't love doing the podcast, but I don't. It's not going to be a fun podcast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So I mean, that's that's Code Watch 2022. That's where we're at right now. Are there dates coming up to keep in mind where, if Cody doesn't show up at Jacksonville? I mean, obviously WrestleMania is in a few weeks, and ROH's Super Card of Honor is on April 1st. Those are both two dates where if we don't see Cody on Monday, maybe we see Cody those days. I don't know. We're in this together.
Yeah. So something just came back to me that I forgot earlier, and it like flew out of my brain, but it just came back. So I didn't actually witness the Butch thing or the Big E thing. I happened to tune in right afterwards for a Ricochet match, and it was Ricochet versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. And in the 30 seconds of me tuning in, I heard Michael Cole say that Ricochet got his inspiration for all of his moves from Johnny Knoxville watching Jackass as a kid.
What a load of bullshit.
That might have been the dumbest thing I've ever heard come out of Michael Cole's mouth, but there's been a lot of them. And I just can't believe that they even imagined to try to tell us that Ricochet idolized Johnny Knoxville. And it really, I was like, I tune in for the first time in weeks and I hear this in 30 seconds. And then 30 seconds later is when my phone started blowing up like yours with the Butch stuff. And then a minute later, I'm getting the Big E stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, my God.
Right.
But yeah, I can't believe Michael Cole even fathomed saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what's to be expected from that.
But yeah. All right. So you got anything else for us? I think that's almost wrapping it up. Huh?
So, last little segment.
Right.
What was your favorite thing?
That's right.
In professional wrestling this week?
Well, considering that I made the thumbnail and I actually went over everything that happened this week to try to figure out what I wanted to put on that thumbnail. And I did go with Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy's reunion there. So I do believe that is my favorite thing of the week.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think this segment's a lot more fun when we both just have different things to put in.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think Jeff Hardy coming out and just the emotional awesomeness of it, having the music, saving Matt. It was even funny because he had to do his dance as he went down to the ring, even though Matt's getting his ass kicked. It was all around. It was a fantastic thing, and the Hardy Boys are back.
Yeah, absolutely. Hardy Boys are back, and they are in their Team Extreme gear too. If you caught a glimpse of them on Rampage.
Yeah, I did. It was cool.
Right on. Now, if I were to go all the way back to Sunday, if we're going to include Revolution, I actually would have a different answer, which would be the entire dog collar match with CM Punk and MJF. The moment where Wardlow could not find that ring was just, oh my God. Whoever had the whole idea for that particular moment of him coming out and looking for the ring and not being able to find it, that was just buttercream icing on my cake. You know what I mean?
I like buttercream. I didn't know we were talking about Revolution too. I mean, if we include Revolution in the past week, which I mean, it's technically you could. It's been 7 days. Yeah. I'd probably pick something from Revolution. I might agree with you with the CM Punk. I mean, William Regal too.
Oh God, yeah.
It was a really, really awesome week if you're a professional wrestling fan.
It was a good week when you have a very hard time figuring out what you thought was the best, moment.
Yeah, I mean, because there was a lot of great stuff on Rampage too, and Dynamite as well. It was not an easy decision.
Oh my God, dude! Somebody just posted a picture on Twitter that makes things even worse for Butch. Oh, I forgot about this. So there's a dude named Tony D'Angelo in NXT, and he plays like a mobster dude who like, you know, gets rid of people in his trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And he held a funeral for Pete Dunne like 3 weeks ago. And now it all makes sense, dude. There was a coffin in the ring. There was pictures of Pete Dunne and everything in the ring. Oh my God.
That's amazing. Yeah, Pete Dunne's dead, man.
God, I fucking hate them.
Yeah. Well, so do you have anything else? Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. That just ruined my night.
Well, oh, don't do that. We just had a really fun show.
Oh, we did, yeah.
We did. It was a great time. You know, thanks everyone for tuning in live.
We had
This has
Hook
been
up in
episode
here.
13. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Send Hook. This has been episode 13 of the Broken Tables podcast. If you enjoyed the show, well, why don't you hit that like button, subscribe button, leave us some comments. We would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I do appreciate that as well. You have yourself a good night, my friend.
You do the same.
I appreciate it. Catch you guys later. Peace.